Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry, technology, and services to help you create more videos to use in your mortgage business. Awesome. Welcome to our first 15-minute Friday. So here we are, and this is my actually first live event that I've done, setting it up on my own. So kind of overcoming that fear of doing those kind of things. I do tons of webinars, tons of videos, but really that's it. And just to get started, why don't we just do a quick introduction so we can let everyone know who we are and what we're about. So my name's Ginger Bell. I'm an education specialist in the mortgage industry, have been helping companies to develop and implement training, videos, webinars for many, many years. I actually started our group, which is the Mortgage Video Mastermind, out of just my desire to be able to have more people do videos and to get a group, a discussion together about what that looks like. And so I want to thank Scott and Jason for hopping on. So I'll let you guys introduce yourself.
I guess I'm in the middle. So
you're in the middle. You get to go. Left to right, buddy. Left to right.
You're the sandwich.
Yeah,
Are you the bologna? Are you the?
You're the meat.
Yeah, I'm the meat. Nice. Right. I like it. With the best looking buns in town, by the way. You too.
Thank you.
Get it? All right. Nobody's going to see this one
yeah.
until it goes viral. No, Scott Schang. I've been started originating 20 years ago. Haven't originated in the last few years. Kind of what my passion is consumer direct content marketing. And my mission in life is to keep consumers out of call centers. I do that with my website, findmywayhome.com. And, I'm a very, very introverted, shy person. It took me a lot to overcome the fears to speak in public, to do videos, to do the things that I do. I kind of feel like, we hear it all the time, but I kind of feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. But if somebody's watching this, they're like, well, this guy seems like he's pretty comfortable. 10 years of doing it and not dying will make it seem like you're totally comfortable and you're just doing it. But the bottom line is it's not easy. It's not easy to do new things, but I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's kind of one of the things that I always strive for.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm Jason Frazier. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at EPM in Atlanta. And like Scott, I'm an introvert. I'm not comfortable like around a lot of people. I'm not like the guy that goes in. I'm not a networking event guy, meaning I'm not going into groups of people that I don't know and shaking hands and having conversations. I'm comfortable after I get to know people. But the reason I bring this up, to Scott's point, is that, I'm a national speaker. I've spoken on, big stages, mortgage and real estate. I do trainings. I obviously do video. I do these things. But I did it based off of wanting to get to a certain thing. I had certain goals and achievements that I wanted to do. And in order to do that, I got to get past my fears. And so for those that say, hey, I don't look good on video and all that other stuff, look, I'm here to tell you that you just have to get over that. And when you do, good things come. And so had I not taken that leap to be comfortable on video, to speak in front of thousands of people and all of that other stuff, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't have the relationships or the connecting with the people I did by putting myself out there. So you just got to find that way to have your passion and your goals outweigh those of your fears. So I'm here to help, and it's just I'm excited to be here and connected with Ginger and Scott, because both of them are great, not just experts but leaders within the industry. And so and the more I could hang out, the better it is for me. So I'm here.
And we're across the country. So I'm back on the West Coast. We were all just together in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Scott's in the middle in Austin, and Frazier we've got over on the East Coast. So we've got it covered completely.
Yeah, we got it surrounded.
So I guess that it's fitting that the layout did what it did, right? Because it's yeah, that's great.
I mean, it's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. And so speaking of perfection, I mean, it's one of those things that you don't plan when things come together, just like this that we're talking about, that makes it so great and authentic. And it's part of video is being able to be that way and not be so planned and not be so scripted. And I think that's one of the things that we have learned. Scott and Jason, you both talk about being an introvert. Surprisingly enough, I'm the same way. So, and I speak a lot also on stage, but I still get nervous. I still get anxious about that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things when people think about doing video, it's that not knowing, it's that fear. So I want to just kick off this very first, 15-minute Friday and talk about how do you overcome that fear? Because Scott, you talked about that, just overcoming that fear for public speaking. So how do you overcome that fear for video?
You don't. You just do it anyhow. I mean, seriously, when Jason had the Broker Success Summit and asked me to share what I was doing, I've been doing public speaking on large stages, hundreds of people for almost 10 years now. And every single time I'm just as scared as I was the first time. I'm nervous. I'm my mind is wandering. I'm like, what if I screw up? And then the second you hit the stage, then your passion takes over and you just do it. And see, that's the important thing. We're not going on camera talking about stuff that we're not passionate about, especially if you're in the industry. One of the things that I'm really dialed into right now is if you don't know what to talk about the customers you helped last week, today, yesterday. Every single question that you get from a consumer, there is an exponentially larger number of people, statistically speaking, that have that same question, and they're probably asking it, and they would like to get an answer. Right. And probably the best thing I ever heard about video was, we're in the people business. We do business with people face to face every single day, and not a single person has ever just fainted in your face or run away screaming. It's the same face, and it's the same voices you use when you meet people face to face. There's absolutely nothing different. It's odd because sometimes you're just talking to a machine and there's nobody to pull a reaction out of, but it's not scary, and it's not different from just having a conversation with anybody.
Right. And to that point, I say, if you are afraid of actually doing video, of having that conversation with yourself, getting over that fear can be inviting somebody else on and having a conversation just like what we are right now. I mean, we did this, nothing scripted. You all said, what do you want to talk about? It's like, I just want to talk about if we all sat down and had a cup of coffee, what would we talk about? And oftentimes that's what it could be, right? It's it doesn't have to be so difficult, but overcoming that fear and doing it anyway, I think is so important.
And what's funny is if the three of us sat down to have coffee, this is probably precisely the conversation we would have.
Totally.
We're all super geeky that way.
Yeah. And we'd extend it into happy hour that night, and then it would go in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a lot of it. So I think if you are afraid of doing it on your own, invite somebody else. And honestly, if you're a loan originator and you want to build your business, especially right now, getting into the purchase business, you should be doing video. You should be doing a show like this. Something as simple as, 15 minutes, a 15-minute Friday. You all could do this. You could set up 15-minute Friday. You do it on your Facebook. You invite a real estate agent on, or you invite a builder on, or you invite a title rep on, or you invite an appraiser on. I mean, you think about all the different people in our industry, or even just within your own community. If you want to build in your community, invite people within your own community, business owners, to where they can talk about themselves and talk about the community. So it doesn't have to always be real estate centric, and it doesn't have to be mortgage centric. There ain't nothing sexy about a mortgage. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, oh my gosh, I really want a mortgage today. You know, it's like you got to do things to make it interesting, but just something like this is simple to do.
Yeah, you know what you mentioned about, you know, and there's a few different ways to do this. I basically identified three real primary strategies for creating content. The first one is newsjacking, right? Is it timely and relevant? Is it in the news? Are people talking about it? Can you hitch your wagon to that conversation? And when you talk about hyperlocal, you should be talking to the small businesses that struggle during COVID, that are trying to stay open, that maybe stayed open despite, you know, what the local regulations are and things like that. Talk to the local school district when her kids coming back to school. You can get you can newsjack those topics and really get a lot of exposure. The other one is subject matter expertise. Are you great at something at your job that nobody else does? Are you great at helping people that are going through divorce figure out their mortgage? Are you great at rehab loans? You know, do you know guidelines? And the other one is the hyperlocal. Is just you can own your community, and that doesn't have to be professional. That should be half community and half, by the way, this is what I do. Yeah. So there's, yeah, and it should never be about you. I think that's the important part. One of the things with the internet is we think, oh my gosh, there's all these billions of people, but the reality is you're only talking to one person over and over again. So it's not about you're standing on a soapbox and you're talking about this stuff. You're thinking of somebody or a specific situation, and here's an issue that I've encountered, that I've solved, that I think could be a problem. And if this is you, here's a way that you can solve it. Yeah, I think people I think sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to put something out there that's perfect,
right?
Right. And I just don't think that's necessary.
Yep, definitely. So, Jason, as far as overcoming fear, and I know you and I, we were 2 years ago at Gary Vaynerchuk's Agent 2021 event. We were both speaking on stage on panels, so it's not like we had a presentation to do. Yeah. And I remember it was a great event. I mean, we had the house, and it's like everything. But I remember you sharing with me how nervous you would get before you got on stage. And that shocked me because you never appear that way. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like acting as if. So how can someone do that when they're shooting their video, you know, getting started with it, to be able to act as if they're very confident in shooting video?
Yeah, I mean, you have to develop that confidence in what you're talking about, and Scott put it perfectly. Is like, you know, same thing. I get nervous before every single time. And just to give you guys an example, like I had spoken to like small groups, 30, 40 people, whatever. My first real big like professional speaking was in New York City, Times Square, Inman Connect with 4,500 agents, right? And so you can imagine, like me, my heart was pounding out of my chest. It was rough, but here's, to Scott's point, you lean into what you know. You lean in to where your expertise is, because once you do that, then you don't have to fumble around thinking about, am I going to say this right? Am I going to screw up? And here's the thing. I think the reason why that I've been, you know, somewhat successful as a public speaker is because I don't come off as polished, because I don't, you know, I say a lot, and, you know, I will kind of be a little scattered, but that's real, right? I think people these days are looking for that, you know, obviously authenticity is becoming one of those, you know, bandwagon, you know, terms, but it's true. Is like, I think when people meet me and they talk to me, I'm the same way on stage that I am when we're having a conversation and on these videos and everything else. And so you know, is that you lean into what you know, you lean into your expertise. That's how I overcame my fear. Plus, like I said in the beginning, is that my passion to teach, my passion to help this industry, far outweighs my fears of not doing things right, or how I look at on stage, and how, you know, you just have to do that. And at the end, and I think this also comes with age too. At the end, I mean, I probably would have thought a lot different 10 years ago, but at this point, I like, you know, who gives a shit? right? Like, I mean, I'm here for a reason. I was chosen to speak for a reason. Obviously, I have some value to give, and so you just gotta lean into that. And one thing that I also, when we talk about, what Scott had mentioned about having, the three things to talk about in regards to content is newsjacking, or I also refer that as curating content, right? But newsjacking is just very simple. And right now, if you Google Gary Vaynerchuk and home ownership together, you'll see my article #1 on Google. And it's an article that I written after Gary Vaynerchuk had mentioned something about home ownership and real estate being bullshit and stuff, stuff like that. And it was my response to that, because I think people took what he said out of context, and it was covered by a lot of different things within the industry and whatnot, at that point. But that was an example of newsjacking, right? Everybody was talking about it. And so I wrote an article about it because I had an opinion. And that's the thing, is that, and I steal this from Scott pretty much every presentation I do to loan officers when it comes to like, how do I find content? It's like, you produce content every single day by every single conversation you have with an agent, with, a financial advisor, a CPA, a consumer. Look in your outbox, right? Look in your sent folder, right? That's where all that content lies. Because here's the thing. If someone's asking you those questions, there's probably a factor of 20 out there in your market that has that same question, right? You have all the content. You have, if you've been doing this business for a certain amount of time and you want to lean into it as an expert, as a local advisor. And that's the thing, is like, once you start, like I'm talking now, is I'm leaning into what I know. I'm leaning into what I'm passionate about. I'm leaning into, hopefully, that people that are watching this will get some sort of help or idea looking at what I've done, because I'm no one special, right? I'm a mortgage executive, right? I'm not even a loan officer, right? So I don't even get out there. And so if I could do it, you can do it too.
Yep.
One thing that our friend Ricardo Bueno said, and I don't think he made this up, I think he got it from somewhere, but there are not 10,000 questions about mortgages and real estate. There are 10 questions asked 10,000 ways. And so by addressing these things, again, everybody's coming at these things from different angles. And then I just wanted to build real quick on one thing that Frazier said. If you get asked to speak at an event, it's because you have something valuable. Like Jason, you brought a bunch of kind of first time speakers up on the stage, and they were kind of nervous about it, and they were kind of scared. But like, if somebody asks you to be on something, if somebody asks you to be on a podcast, if somebody asks you to get on a Zoom call, somebody asks you to speak, just do it. They see something in you. And we could do 15 hours on imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
But
every day. Yeah.
Absolutely, every second of every day. But you just do it. You do it anyhow, and you wouldn't be asked to do it if you didn't have something that you were passionate about that somebody thought other people should hear. And there's this really interesting thing that happens. It's kind of the television, this pseudo celebrity thing. If you have the guts to turn on the camera and speak, you really become an instant celebrity, because public speaking is like second only to death that people are afraid of. And like, seriously, like a horrible accident of death, not even a natural death, lay down. And so your ability to overcome that fear in that moment and do it automatically brings this perceived authority to what you're saying, and it will help people. It really is a mental hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that this morning, Scott. Just that fear, and you're right. I used to do training at Dale Carnegie, and we got people over a lot of that fear of public speaking. But it truly is like the #2 fear. I almost think that videos moved into like the #1 now, because it's like, it is so hard. So, and I think, just to wrap this up, because we actually are over our time, and I want to make sure that we are keeping this within the 15 minutes or so. But, the first thing is, when I'm thinking about overcoming that fear, practice. Turn on the camera. Don't just, automatically say, I'm going to do this. but get a camera, turn it on, whether it's your cell phone, whether it's your HD camera, where you get it, a mirrorless camera, a DSLR. I don't care what it is. Practice. Because, we used to say practice makes perfect, but practice actually makes permanent. So the more you practice, the more permanent that habit's going to become. The second thing I would say is make it a habit. Put it on your calendar. One of the reasons I did this 15-minute Friday was to hold myself accountable, because I wanted to start getting more information out there about video. Scott, we had talked about that. It's like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Yeah. I mean, make it a habit. So now we're there. We're holding each other accountable. You all that are on here, and I love seeing all the comments of people that are making comments on that, because that's why we're doing this, is to be able to provide that. And then the other thing that I would say is do a lot of takes. Don't feel like you need to get it one and done. There's editing that you can do with video. Scott, you and I talked about doing a webinar on video editing. So, if you guys are interested, put in the comments, let us know. Those are kind of things we want to help you, because those are things that we do. I've been creating video for, the last 10, 15 years. And so I'm really good at Camtasia. I have a team that's good at Camtasia. So we can share those. But you can edit, so you don't feel like you need to get it done just boom in one thing. I've got a whole day that I'm doing a video, and trust me, it's going to be edited. And my editors laugh hysterically when they go through some of the things and the mistakes. But that's it. It's just a matter of practice, make it a habit, and don't be afraid to edit something. It doesn't have to be perfect.
And don't be afraid to not edit something. It doesn't have to be perfect. And quite frankly, just don't overthink it, because that's what we do. We get in our heads and we overthink it.
The one thing I'd say is, because I've had these talks a lot, is one thing that you need to understand is that your audience identifies with imperfection, right? They don't identify with perfection, because we rarely see that. I mean, no one's perfect, but just in your everyday life, there's a lot of imperfect things that happen to you. And I'll tell you right now, for the people that are like, I need to be perfect, I need to have the like, guaranteed, do a video on your phone, screw up, have bloopers or whatever, you do that video will get 10x the amount of views, shares, comments, and engagement than one that was perfectly produced. Guaranteed, it always happens. And then what I will say finally is check out Ginger's book that she's got here that we use. We gave it out to all the attendees. I've seen a lot of people actually reference this, because it helps give them ideas on what to do. And that way you don't have to start from scratch, because just like Scott said, you will overthink it to death in the beginning until you just get doing it. But just turn on the camera and go. And like Ginger says, you don't have to publish it, but just do it, have fun and enjoy it. And here's the thing is, like, most of your competition will never get over that hump and never do it. So it's a huge advantage for you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much. And I mean, this is not just for us. So if you have information to share, Fred Krieger, I see you're on there. I'm not saying everyone else as far as names, but we want to get other people on here. So, if it's us having a conversation, that's great. I know Carl White's going to hop on. He's traveling right now. Tim Davis, I talked to, he's going to hop on. I mean, whoever, I don't care. It's a matter of being able to help each other and get out there and start doing more video. Also, if you're doing video, post it below. And if you're asking for feedback, post it. And as a group, let's help each other. Let's give pointers, things, the whole reason, Jason, I wrote that video planner was just to help people come up with ideas. It's like, it's 52 weeks of video prompts in a workbook. It's not complicated, but it's like, what should I talk about this week? I don't know. Let's talk about divorce. I mean, how do you get a loan if you're going through divorce? You all, do things like that. So anyway.
Mortgage insurance.
And this is a safe place. There's no criticism here. There's just help. Yep. So that's another reason why we do these things.
Exactly. Okay. Very good. Well, from the West Coast, thank you.
From the middle.
And from the from the best coast.
Whatever.
I was born and raised in California, but now I could say that now. But from the East Coast. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks guys
Appreciate
for
you.
joining us. We'll post a video, a copy of this, and thank you. So we'll see you next week, 15 minutes on Friday.